Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
The sprawling metropolis of Altara glimmered under the soft luminescence of two moons, casting a surreal glow across the advanced interspecies research facility known as the Gaia Institute. Here, scientists from various worlds collaborated side by side, driven by the pursuit of knowledge and the desire to bridge the gap between cultures. The air hummed with a sense of excitement and curiosity as human and alien languages intermingled in bright hallways. Dr. Alex Carter, a passionate xenobiologist, was deep in thought as he maneuvered through the bustling crowd. At 35, he had earned a reputation for his groundbreaking work on interspecies genetics. But for all his accolades, there was one thing that reserved his heart: a curiosity about the Voraxi people. This curiosity was sparked by an extraordinary encounter he would soon not forget. Zalara, the Voraxi scientist assigned to the Gaia Institute, had recently arrived from their technologically advanced planet, Voraxia Prime. With vibrant skin and large, expressive eyes that shimmered like facets of a diamond, she embodied the mystique of her species. Yet, it wasn't just her stunning appearance that captivated him. It was the aura of intelligence and vulnerability that surrounded her. Alex watched as Zalara struggled at the lab bench, her numerous appendages fidgeting with the tools of her trade. Her usual confidence seemed to waver, a fact he noted with concern. He caught her eye briefly. Her gaze darted away, and he felt an inexplicable pull toward her. Unbeknownst to Alex, Zalara was grappling with an internal storm, an unsettling blend of excitement and dread as her body underwent rapid and relentless changes, a consequence of her cultural mating rites. "Dr. Carter." Her melodic voice cut through his thoughts. "I require your assistance. The bioscanner isn't responding as it should." Rushing to her side, Alex tuned into her emotions, sensing the tension within her. "Sure, I can take a look," he replied, trying to maintain his composure despite the flutter in his chest. As they worked together, he couldn't help but notice how close they stood, the warmth radiating between them. They were both engrossed in the task, the faint hum of machinery a backdrop to their whispers, and for a moment, nothing else existed. "Sometimes I wish I could tear away these constraints and be free to express." Zalara hesitated, her eyes searching for the right words. "In my culture, growth is not merely a biological process, but a symbol, a transition." She glanced at her hands, the iridescent hues shifting slightly under the facility's lighting. "It signifies readiness, a stage for mating, and in my case, I can't hide it anymore." The weight of her admission hung in the air, and Alex couldn't help but feel uneasy. He had read about Voraxi mating rituals, their cycles of growth that transformed their bodies in significant ways, not just physically, but also in terms of their emotional landscape. His heart raced as he processed the implications of her words. Had she really grown uncomfortable with the visceral changes her body was undergoing? "Zalara, you can be open about these things," he found himself saying, voice gentle yet firm. "You don't need to hide anything from me." She looked up, surprise lighting her features before it dimmed to pure melancholy. "It's not that simple," she replied softly. "You don't understand what it means for a Voraxi to be exposed like this, vulnerable. Our physical forms attract attention, and it can lead to expectations I'm not sure I can meet." Alex felt a pang of empathy wash over him. He'd seen how her colleagues sometimes eyed her growth with a mix of curiosity and other, more primal instinct. It created a tense atmosphere, one he had observed before in environments unaccustomed to alien customs. And though he tried to dissuade her fears, he found his own mind wrestling with the notions of attraction, alien beauty, and the perception of growth as a physical manifestation of desire. Taking a chance, he stepped closer, lowering his voice as if sharing a secret. "Zalara, I'm not like other humans. I don't see you as a specimen or an experiment. I see you as you, intelligent, capable, beautiful. Your growth doesn't diminish who you are. It is merely part of your journey." Her large eyes widened, and for a split second, he thought he had crossed a threshold, the unsaid words hanging in the air between them palpable and electrifying. Perhaps it was the shared vulnerability of the moment that allowed Zalara to respond. "Do you really think so?" she whispered, voice laced with a blend of hope and uncertainty. "Yes," he affirmed, his tone resolute. "Maybe it's time to embrace who you are, to explore what this means for us." Zalara hesitated, her expression shifting as she considered his words. It was a moment suspended in time. Yet, amidst the budding connection, an urgent alarm rang through the lab, shattering their intimate bubble. The sudden blare of the emergency protocol jolted Alex back to reality. The overhead screens flashed warning messages, and an urgent voice echoed, "All personnel please report to evacuation sites immediately." Chaos erupted around them as scientists dashed toward exits and systems powered down. Alex turned to Zalara, adrenaline surging through him. "We need to get out of here." But as they moved, he could see the confusion in her eyes, a mixture of fear and disbelief. In that moment of crisis, he realized that regardless of their burgeoning relationship, they were still bound by the complexities of their identities, cultures, and the horrors that could await them if left unaddressed. With a swift motion, he grasped her hand tightly. "Stay close to me." As they stumbled into the thrumming pulse of the crowd, the stakes were irrevocably high. For Alex and Zalara, the perils of their environments paled in comparison to the tempest raging within them, a storm of attraction intertwined with the weight of their respective worlds. Together, they charged forward into the unknown, their fates intertwined like the luminous threads of a tapestry, waiting to be unveiled. The sirens eventually faded, replaced by a heavy silence. Alex found himself in a makeshift emergency shelter, a small, reinforced room that served as a temporary safe zone for the scientists. Around him, other personnel were gathering, exchanging worried glances as reports streamed from the monitors overhead, damage assessments, protocols initiated, and most pressing of all, the persistent threat that had caused the evacuation. Zalara stood near the corner, her previously vibrant countenance now tinged with anxiety. Alex watched her, his heart aching as he noted the subtle tremors in her hands. After everything that had happened, he felt an overwhelming urge to bridge the distance between them, to offer more than just physical support. "Zalara," he called, making his way closer, careful to maintain a calm demeanor. "Are you all right?" She looked at him, her large, expressive eyes shimmering with unspoken fears. I am just not used to this chaos," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly, a stark contrast to the confident scientist he had come to know. "The Voraxi are not raised in environments of uncertainty. We thrive on stability." The spark of panic flickered in her irises, reminding him of the stakes they faced, not just from the fallout of the evacuation, but from the growing bond they had started to forge. "Can you tell me what's going through your mind?" Alex urged, stepping closer, so their conversation felt more intimate. Zalara hesitated, the cogs of her thoughts visibly turning. "It is difficult to explain. My changes are not merely physical. They are woven into the fabric of my being, my identity. It is a mark of readiness, but it also brings with it expectations." Her voice quivered, revealing the depths of her struggle. "As I grow, I am supposed to attract a mate, solidifying the bond essential for Voraxi reproduction. But with every moment that passes, I feel more exposed. I fear that this may not be what I want." Alex felt a flush of understanding swell within him. "Have you ever thought that it's okay to feel unsure? That it's acceptable to not adhere to those cultural norms?" Her gaze fell to the ground, and for a moment, silence enveloped them, thick and suffocating. "Your species does not grasp the importance of our traditions," she finally replied, her tone heavy with resignation. "I have always been proud of my heritage, but now, as I stand at the precipice, it feels suffocating. I fear what others think, and I fear what you think as well." "Zalara," he began, trying to find the right words. "I'm not like other humans. I want to understand what you're going through, and I want you to know that you can be open with me. I don't see you as merely a subject of study or another alien. I see you as someone who is incredibly unique and worth knowing beyond what your body represents." Her large eyes widened, reflecting a mixture of curiosity and disbelief. "You mean that?" "Absolutely. What you're feeling is valid, and it's okay to question your path. I respect the Voraxi customs, but your individuality is what makes you extraordinary. Zalara's gaze flickered with something akin to hope, but it was fleeting, overshadowed by the conflicting emotions that roiled within her. And yet, my physical changes are so pronounced. I find it hard to escape their shadow. They scream of what I am meant to embody. Alex took a moment, allowing her emotions to settle in the finite space between them. What if we redefine what those changes mean? What if they signify your journey instead? Your growth as a person, a scientist, and yes, even a possibility for something more. She regarded him with a mixture of caution and intrigue. And how do you propose I reconcile my culture with my desires? By embracing both aspects of your identity, he suggested, his voice steady. You can honor your heritage while also exploring how you feel about it. There's no singular path mandated for you. You have the power to shape your own narrative. Zalara considered his words, the tension in her shoulders beginning to ease. You make it sound so simple, Alex, but the Voraxi culture is deeply ingrained in us. I am caught in between worlds right now. I know, he acknowledged, the sympathy in his voice sincere. But you're not alone in this. We're in this together, navigating the complexities of our different cultures, identities, and feelings. Before she could respond, the loud rattle of a nearby monitor interrupted their moment. The facility's emergency systems blurred the lines of reality. Their world had become a clashing cacophony of urgency and fear. Zalara's expression shifted to one of determination. The chance of further complications outside is high. If we do not stabilize the function of lab equipment or ensure the safety of other personnel, it may lead to even more dire consequences. We need to regain control. With newfound resolve, she swept into action, and Alex could only marvel at her capacity to transition from vulnerability to strength. As she began typing commands into the nearest terminal, the flicker of alien symbols danced across the screen. "Help me with this," Zalara commanded, her demeanor shifting back to the confident scientist he'd initially admired. "We must collect data on the evacuation sequences. The damage assessments are crucial for our upcoming experiments." Alex fell into sync with her rhythm, pressing a few buttons to extract necessary information. They worked in tandem, their energies melding as they focused on the task at hand. As adrenaline and urgency coursed through him, he felt the earlier tension dissipate. "Zalara," he said during a brief lull, "I want you to know that regardless of the turmoil outside, I'm here to support you, whatever that looks like." Her eyes met his, and for a heartbeat, the weight of their struggles seemed to bridge the chasm of their differences. "You are becoming something important to me, Alex. My life is interwoven with this moment now." As the monitors beeped with fresh data and the facility buzzed around them, Alex couldn't help but sense the direction their journey was taking, tangled in uncertainty, yet at the cusp of adventure. Together, they would face the challenges ahead and navigate the uncharted waters of their shared existence in a world far removed from simple boundaries. And standing there, surrounded by chaos, yet anchored to one another, Alex realized that the essence of their connection was a tapestry woven with threads of fear, growth, and undeniable bond, waiting to be explored. After the initial turmoil subsided and the alarms quieted, the atmosphere within the emergency shelter shifted. Scientists began to regroup, sharing information and formulating plans for their next steps. Amidst the hum of voices and buzzing technology, Alex and Zalara found a temporary haven within the chaos, their collaboration a focal point that anchored them both. Once order was restored and protocols put in place, the duo returned to the laboratory, a space infused with the low hum of machinery and the scent of antiseptic. Alex felt a surge of anticipation as he entered, knowing that creating breakthroughs in their research was not just vital for their work, but also for the evolution of their relationship. "Let's analyze the data we gathered during the evacuation," Zalara suggested, her voice steady yet laden with purpose. She activated the main terminal, displaying the collected information across the screens. As they began to sift through charts, measurements, and experiment logs, the collaborative energy between them intensified. The tension that had once lingered in the air was replaced by a dynamic rhythm of intellectual engagement and mutual respect. "What do you make of these fluctuations in the bioscans?" Zalara asked, her eyes darting between the screens, occasionally looking up to gauge Alex's thoughts. "I believe they coincide with stress levels," he replied, focusing on the data. "This spike here indicates a link between emotional turmoil and biological responses. If we can find a way to stabilize those fluctuations." Zalara leaned in closer, brushing against him, sending a jolt of unanticipated energy coursing through him. "Yes, we might be able to access a method to understand the Voraxi growth cycles better, potentially mitigating the complications you mentioned earlier." Their proximity sparked a new awareness, igniting a charged atmosphere between them. As Alex explained the correlation of their findings, he couldn't help but steal glances at Zalara. She was mesmerizing, her dedication illuminating her features. But now there was something more, an intense, unspoken connection pulsing beneath the surface. "Alex, I wonder." Zalara's voice softened, drawing him back from his fascination. "Do you believe it is possible for someone to embrace their heritage while still carving out a personal identity? I am feeling increasingly drawn to your world, yet I fear losing mine." He paused, contemplating her question. "Absolutely. The beauty of identity is that it's multifaceted. Growth doesn't mean abandoning where we come from. It's about integrating those pieces into who we are becoming. You don't have to choose one over the other." Zalara's gaze searched his, her expression fluctuating between uncertainty and hope. "Integrating is difficult. I still worry about what others think of my transformation, how it defines my worth within our field." "Your worth is inherent, Zalara. You bring insight and perspective that enlightenment cannot replace," he replied, feeling a surge of passion for her struggle. "Especially in the way you approach science. You ask questions that lead to deeper understanding." Her eyes sparkled, reflecting a blend of admiration and vulnerability. "You really believe that?" "I do." He stepped slightly closer, emboldened by the intimacy that had developed between them. "And what if, together, we explored what it means to exist between our worlds? What if we designed an experiment that delves deeper into this connection?" Zalara's breath hitched slightly, as though a newfound electricity crackled in the air. "An experiment? You mean to study our dynamics?" "Exactly," he said, his excitement bubbling over. "We could look into how our species interact, not just on an academic level but emotionally. It's a chance to bridge our cultures, to visualize this transition field both of us are experiencing." Zalara's brow furrowed in thought. "That is unconventional." "But it's also groundbreaking," Alex countered, his enthusiasm infectious. "It would show how intimacy can influence the biological aspects of our connection. If we can prove that emotional states affect growth, it could change everything." She bit her lip, contemplating this idea, her mind racing with potentialities. "You are proposing a method rooted in experience, not just observation, a way to quantify feelings." "Yes," he affirmed, the excitement palpable in his chest. "We could gather data on how our interactions, meaningful conversations, touch, our chemistry, affect both of us physically. We'd have scientific evidence to back up our personal explorations." Zalara considered this, a blend of determination and trepidation simmering in her expression. "Very well, but we must establish boundaries and ensure we remain focused on our objectives." "Absolutely," he assured her, voice steady. "This is about learning and understanding, about nourishing our identities rather than compromising them." Their conversation flowed seamlessly, oscillating between scientific theory and personal reflection. As they framed their ideas into a plan, the initial spark of attraction morphed into a complex, exhilarating dance of discovery. "The first phase would be to document our emotional responses in different scenarios," Zalara suggested, her confidence building. "We can create an array of conditions, work-related tasks, social interactions, and perhaps more intimate settings." "Intimate settings," he echoed, a grin creeping into his expression. "That sounds promising." Zalara met his gaze, the intensity between them palpable. "Yes, intimate settings would be essential. The most profound connection breeds the most significant growth, both physically and emotionally." A brief moment of silence enveloped them, heavy with possibilities. Alex inhaled sharply, realizing the layers of their experiment were unfurling in unexpected ways. Their dynamic had shifted, The professional boundaries they once adhered to now blurred by the promise of exploration, connection, and perhaps something deeper. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation, lingering like electricity before a storm. Together, they were on the precipice of a new frontier, one that would intertwine their identities in ways neither could have foreseen. "Then let's begin," he said, his voice low and sincere. "I want to explore this journey with you, Zalara, not just as colleagues, but as partners in unraveling what this means for us." She smiled, a brilliant radiance shining through the uncertainty in her eyes. "Partners. Yes, I would like that." As they immersed themselves in their shared endeavor, the lab became a realm of endless possibilities, vulnerabilities laid bare, emotions intertwined, and exhilarating anticipation of discovery reigning supreme, all amidst the uncharted territories of both their hearts and minds. Days blended into nights as Alex and Zalara dove deeper into their groundbreaking experiment. Their collaboration had blossomed into a rich tapestry of scientific inquiry and mutual exploration, transforming the atmosphere of the lab into a sanctuary for their growing bond. The once sterile environment now thrummed with energy, papers scattered across tables, holographic projections dancing in the air, and laughter echoing off the walls. Each shared moment pulled them closer, to the point where the lines dividing professional and personal began to fade entirely. "Let's review the data from the last simulation," Alex suggested one evening, gesturing toward the translucent screens that displayed their findings. The lab was dimly lit, the soft glow of screens illuminating their faces, casting shadows that danced in rhythm with their conversation. Zalara leaned forward, her azure skin glimmering under the ambient light. "The increase in emotional connection appears to correlate directly with a decrease in physiological stress markers. We're making significant progress," she said, her enthusiasm palpable, a brilliant smile illuminating her features. Alex chuckled. "Progress is an understatement. I'd say we're redefining what it means to study interspecies relationships." She met his gaze, eyes sparkling with excitement. "It is exhilarating. For so long, my work has been focused solely on biology, the hard data, the cold observations. Now, I feel as if I am experiencing life and science in tandem, integrating emotion with logic. I think that's what makes our research so unique," he replied, his voice softening as he considered her perspective. "You're attributing value to the emotional landscape, a dimension we've often ignored in our studies." Zalara nodded, her expression changing slightly. "And yet, with this knowledge comes a heaviness as well. The more I understand these connections, the more I realize the implications of my own growth. The Voraxi traditions, the expectations of mate selection. It is a lot to ponder." Alex's heart sank at her moment of vulnerability. "You don't have to rush into anything, Zalara. This is your journey, and it's important to navigate it in your own time. But what if I choose a path that defies expectations?" Her voice trembled slightly, revealing an undercurrent of fear. "What if I want to embrace my individuality, yet the world around me cannot accept it?" "Then we'll carve out our own space," he said firmly, stepping closer. "You deserve to embrace who you are fully, every part of you. That includes your heritage, your changes, and your desires." Zalara paused, her gaze penetrating as she searched for the truth in his words. "What if my desires do not align with what my people expect?" "Then find a way to honor both sides of yourself," he urged softly. "You don't have to sacrifice your heritage to evolve into someone new. There's beauty in embracing both facets of your identity." Her breath caught, the weight of his words settling between them like a fragile bridge connecting their worlds. In that fragile moment, Alex realized how much he wished for her to lean into the bond they were creating, a bond that transcended mere scientific exploration. As if reading his thoughts, Zalara stepped closer, her voice a whisper. "And what if those desires involve you?" The room shifted. The air thickened with tension as their eyes locked in an emotional embrace. The reality of their situation flooded Alex's senses. The connection they had spun together awaited exploration, an inevitable crossing of boundaries that had previously held them apart. "Zalara," he began, but the weight of her gaze silenced him. "I am at a crossroads, Alex," she continued, her tone unsteady yet resolute. I find myself drawn to you, not just as a colleague, but as something more profound. The boundaries of science have blurred into something more intimate, and I am terrified. Terrified of what? He pressed gently, sensing the fragility of her emotions. Of crossing too many boundaries, of exploring feelings that could complicate our research. I value your companionship far too much to risk it on something that may not endure. Her voice was laced with fear, vulnerability wrapped in hesitation. Alex took a step closer, enveloping the space between them with the warmth of his presence. I understand, but I believe we're already on the edge of something significant, something beautiful. Maybe these feelings are not complications, but rather an invitation to explore life together. She tilted her head slightly, contemplating his words. You mean embracing? Yes, he interrupted, fear bubbling in his chest. Not just the science, but shared experiences, exploration that encompasses our emotional states. I never intended for our connection to be limited to mere data collection. Zalara, you mean more to me than that. Zalara's eyes widened, emotions swirling within them, conflicting yet deeply rooted. As the silence deepened, he could see her mind racing, reckoning with her desires, her heritage, and the emotional intricacy of their growing bond. This was a pivotal moment, echoed by 1,000 unspoken truths. With a trembling breath, she stepped forward, her resolve firming. Then let us explore this together, Alex. But under one condition, we must carefully navigate these feelings. We must be honest about our needs. Absolutely, he replied eagerly, feeling the spark of hope ignite between them. Honesty is essential. I never want you to feel trapped or disillusioned by what's happening between us. Their faces drew closer, heartbeats quickening in tandem. The air shimmered with unspoken promises. Their shared passion hovered on the brink of transformation. With the world around them falling silent, they found themselves beneath the weight of possibility. Alex, she whispered, her breath ghosting against his skin. I want to feel, to explore what it means to be united in more than just our research. Then let's do this, he urged, his voice barely a murmur, filled with warmth and encouragement. With deft movement, Zalara closed the distance, and in that instant, the boundaries dissolved. Time stood still. The lab transformed, cocooning them in the glow of their shared potential, a fusion of science and intimacy coursing like electricity through their veins. Their lips met, a gentle exploration that ignited flames of passion that had quietly simmered beneath the surface. In that embrace, as warmth enveloped them, Alex felt the dance of two worlds converging, honoring the delicate balance between their identities. Their connection solidified in that moment, a silent promise to navigate the unknown together, a promise not just to each other, but to the kind of love that transcends barriers, merging every facet of their beings in a unified journey of discovery. In the weeks that followed their shared embrace, the relationship between Alex and Zalara blossomed like an untouched flower. Their encounters became increasingly layered with understanding, intimacy, and respect. They continued their research, integrating the exploration of their emotional connection with the scientific method, utilizing their findings to bridge both the human and Voraxi experiences. The data they collected together was revolutionary, showcasing the intricate ways their emotional exchanges influenced their physiological states. As their subjects, they conducted experiments that observed the interplay of familiarity, touch, and emotional vulnerability. It was not merely a study. It became a living testament to the deepening bond they shared. I never knew science could be this exhilarating, Zalara admitted one afternoon, her laughter echoing through the lab as they analyzed their latest findings. Alex chuckled along with her, his heart soaring with appreciation for the joy she brought into his life. Aren't you glad we embraced this experimental approach? There's so much to learn from one another. Indeed, she replied, her eyes sparkling. And I must confess, I find myself more drawn to you with each experiment. She leaned closer, and Alex could feel the familiar rush of warmth surging through him. In that moment, he was reminded not only of their growing connection, but the complexities of weaving their identities together. They were two worlds meeting at an intersection of intimacy, discovery, and hope. But outside of their laboratory, challenges loomed. The Voraxi Council had been monitoring Zalara's work, intrigued by her innovative approaches, yet wary of her emotional entanglements with a human scientist. Rumors began to circulate, and yesterday, Zalara received a communique requesting an audience with the council regarding her research and her relationships. As Zalara paced the lab that evening, a cloud of uncertainty loomed over her. "I worry about their perceptions of our partnership," she confessed, biting her lip. "It's a complex intersection of tradition and innovation. I fear they may not approve of my decisions, especially when it comes to mixing emotions with science." "We knew this could happen, Zalara," Alex said softly, moving closer to her. "But we must stand firm in what we've discovered. Our bond has value, both personally and scientifically. This work resonates with something deeper, a level of understanding unheard of between our species." "But what if they see it as a failure of duty?" she wondered aloud, her brow furrowed in concern. "I come from a lineage that values adherence to tradition. What would it mean for a Voraxi scientist to choose passion over duty?" "Please remember, you are not alone," he reminded her, a comforting hand brushing against her shoulder. "We are forging pathways as we go, even when the roads ahead are unclear. Your choices are valid, and they reflect who you are evolving into." Zalara took a deep breath, the resolve in her eyes strengthening as she turned to face him. "You are right. I need to be true to myself, and that includes our relationship. I refuse to let anyone tell me who I can or cannot be with." "Then let's face this together," he encouraged, feeling the warmth of her decision reverberate within him. "You should present your findings and our relationship as a testament to the potential in interspecies collaboration. Let them see the truth we've uncovered." The night before her audience with the council, they poured themselves into the lab, preparing their presentation. Together, they crafted intricate arguments, intertwining scientific discoveries with the heartfelt experiences they had shared. Each moment stitched deeper understanding into the fabric of their research. The following day, they stood before the council in a grand chamber filled with the leaders of the Voraxi, their luminous figures casting an ethereal glow. Zalara felt a wave of anxiety wash over her as she recalled the rules of decorum and tradition that echoed through her upbringing. "Zalara Taren," the lead council chief began, his voice commanding, "you have submitted your findings on interspecies emotional impact, as well as your personal relationship with the human, Alex Carter. This is an unprecedented situation we must explore." "Honored council," she began, voice steady yet vulnerable, "what I present today is not merely empirical data. What we have discovered transcends the boundaries of science and culture. It is a reflection of shared experiences, emotional connections that unite us beyond biology." Alex stood beside her, support radiating silently, as Zalara unfolded her research, presenting the data amid screens depicting their findings. She spoke passionately about how emotions influence growth cycles and how their bond had fundamentally reshaped both of their identities. "Through this work, we have unearthed a potential for understanding that can change the narrative of our people," Zalara continued, her heart pounding in her chest. "I have chosen to embrace my individuality while honoring my heritage. As a Voraxi, I know the expectations placed upon me, yet I have unlocked a profound truth. Connection is the foundation of evolution." The council listened, a mixture of concern and intrigue flickering across their faces. Zalara felt her heartbeat thundering in her ears, the weight of her traditions clashing against the necessity of her truth. As she concluded her presentation, a hush enveloped the chamber. "What I stand for is more than a partnership, it is a new frontier. Together, we can forge a path where love and research coexist, enriching both our cultures." There was silence, a breath held in the air as the council deliberated. Then gradually, the lead counselor spoke. "Your courage is commendable, Zalara. What you propose is indeed revolutionary. Should your findings prove true, perhaps the Voraxi should reevaluate how we define relationships and identity within our culture." Relief washed over her as they voiced agreement. Their support felt tangible. Their acceptance marked the sanctity of her journey, of the reality that love could intertwine seamlessly with duty. As the chamber emptied, Zalara turned to Alex, tears of relief brimming in her eyes. They accepted our work." "And not just that," he replied, pulling her into a warm embrace. They accepted you, your choice to forge your own path, alongside honoring your roots. This is a monumental step for both of us. Over time, their collaboration transformed the narrative of interspecies connections within the Council, advocating for acceptance and understanding. Zalara and Alex became champions of a new way forward, fostering a paradigm shift that embraced love, intimacy, and growth beyond societal expectations. Their journey became one of enlightenment, with each day strengthening the threads that united them. They stood together, not only as partners in exploration, but as pioneers of an evolution that celebrated the richness of connection, a harmonious fusion of their worlds. And so, the tale of Dr. Alex Carter and Zalara Taren continued, not just defined by their pioneering research, but by a love that blossomed fearlessly amid uncertainty. A love that dared to breach the confines of tradition, igniting the spark of possibility between species, and reshaping the future, one connection at a time.